nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though.
PSGL, George Morgan here and Jack Pinner. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go!
Contact between the Mercedes teammates.
Denoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Do not count out Danny Berezne.
Longay has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Borman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to PSGL. Welcome back to PCF2, and welcome to Mexico. It's going to be a good round tonight. It's going to be good fun. I, of course, am Ben Sapsford, aka Sappytron. I'm joined once again by Omi in the commentary box. How you doing, my friend? Are we excited for the racing that's about to go down?
Right now, here at Mexico, should be a very interesting race. First of all, though, we're going to set the grid and we're going to decide who's going to take the 1 point for pole.
Yeah, unfortunately, we did have a bit of an audio bug there, but I absolutely feel you. Very excited to see what these drivers are going to do. We're not going to be wasting any time, folks. We're already about to jump into the qualifying section. Into the qualifying session of tonight's racing here at the Mexican Grand Prix. Here for the 8th round, we'll have much to talk about. Things like the standings, things like the potential championship fights that are setting themselves up. But for now, let's just focus on the qualifying that is about to go down. We're about to go trackside, and it looks like we haven't got any of the drivers moving just yet, but we will be joining them as soon as they go. Oh, no, never mind. Unfortunately, we've just had a word that the lobby is broken, so looks like we are going to have that chat. We're going to have that time to talk about it after. Looking at the calendar, we are just crossing over then to that final third here. So around 8 of 12 here in the PSGL season 37 calendar, which means that championships are going to be start wrapping up. And I got to say, quite a final set of tracks to be contending with as a driver.
Yes, absolutely. You've got, of course, Belgium, you've got Monza, you've got Qatar, and you've got Brazil. Some amazing venues to end the season with hopefully the championship battle heating up as well. Klaffenbach doing incredibly well so far. We'll go more into that, though, with the championship standings. But yeah, Brazil's always going to be a very crazy final. I think it doesn't matter what tier, what race, what season it is. It's always brilliant. And I'm sure with how this season has so far played out, Brazil will be absolutely amazing to watch, and Monza, Qatar, and Spa will also deliver. So yeah, we've got some exciting races to end the season, and there will be plenty of opportunities for the drivers, but you also need to keep your nose clean, because around these type of circuits, there can be a bit of a brawl most races. So you have to try keep your nose clean and keep your front wings intact, or it could really affect the championship.
We'll take a quick look at the standings and what our drivers have to face. Of course, coming out of Saudi Arabia, the unique roller coaster that it was, Klaffenbach currently leads the championship by 16 whole points. That is quite the margin to hold on rivals like Jan Halliday and Joris Krozen. Krozen himself getting a penalty point after a small infraction out in the previous race. So they did have 3 seconds added to their final race time and a little bit of a points hit for an illegal overtake. I believe that was during one of the more tumultuous periods of the race. But looking at the rest of them, we've got Liam Stevens, Tycho Hardy, Leo Lund, Alison Alves, Shimon Lakomsky, Tope, and Gregory Zibel in 10th, although he's only going to be moving down as he unfortunately has been removed from the grid for repeated lag warnings. Second half, we end in the... Well, we start as we mean to go on, because we have the Hasses at the top of the graphic on either side. So 11th place goes to the second Haas of Riccardo Benzoni with Bradley Holdham, Rishan Jacobs, the 2 Ferraris of Statcher and Yeltsin with Godendorp, Sousa, Richet, Cohen and Suriano rounding off the rest of this standings field. And if there's one thing I'm excited for, it's not necessarily the fight for the very top. It's the fact that we have 3 drivers in positions 3, 4, and 5 within 2 points of each other. Krozen and Stevens, they're on equals.
It is very close in the mid-pack, and the race is, of course, always very, very amazing, always going to that last lap. But yeah, we've got to also keep an eye, as you mentioned, on those amazing battles in the mid-pack, or the higher mid-pack for some of these drivers. I think Liam Stevens, he's done very well. DNF race 1 at Silverstone. Ever since then, he's been in the top 6 in every single race, and he'll be looking to continue that here tonight around Mexico City. So he's been very consistent. May have not got that win, but he's been absolutely consistent and is definitely working his way towards that first victory of the campaign. But being consistent in this type of season is always very critical for the drivers, and if you are consistent, you could find yourselves higher up in the championship, as Liam Stevens is fighting his way towards as well.
And we're going to be looking very much forward to seeing what these racers can do. Now, we are just a moment away from getting themselves into qualifying for real this time. We can take of difficulties they're going to be facing. 17 corners, 4.3 kilometers, and several thousand feet above sea level makes this a unique challenge on the calendar. Now, I'm not sure to what extent that sea level altitude is simulated, but I don't doubt for a second that these drivers are going to be pushing their cars to the absolute limits, especially when you come out of that first sector and you're looking at turns 8 to 11. That is a roller coaster that you have to absolutely nail if you want to get some good overtakes into sector 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Nailing Sector 3 is going to be critical, especially if you are in a DRS train. We've got a long start-finish straight, but you always want to be close coming out of the final corner on this circuit, or you're going to need to use quite a lot of battery. Tucking in the slipstream and being close behind your rival in a DRS train is going to be critical as well. I'm sure we're going to see multiple changes for first position, but if you are out of position on the grid, you're going to want to try and make your way through in the race. Plenty of overtaking opportunities when we see so many battles. We could be getting some of the 3 wide, some of the 4 wide that we've seen across this season so far. So opportunities season, but you also need to try keep your nose clean. Every single round it's been the story of trying to keep your nose clean and also not pick up a penalty. Sometimes if the drivers do become a bit too much ego, a bit too much greedy, then there is a chance they could pick up a penalty, and that can cost them dearly. With how close the margins are, you will lose that massive if you do get a penalty and you are in that battle and you are in a DRS train for the win or any other position for that case.
Well, you make a very big point there about sticking out of trouble and just, quote, keeping your nose clean. We saw that in particular at Saudi Arabia, because that is one of the tracks where it is paramount you keep yourself out of trouble and you do not incur a collision. For one part, it's almost more of a roller coaster than it is a track. You've got so many winding turns, chicanes, lefts that lead into rights that lead into setups for much larger, faster corners. So there is little room for error. When you combine that with the short walls and the very little runoff in some cases, you do get a recipe for disaster if someone makes a mistake. And the same is true here. While you do have a much more open plan circuit, it is a purpose-built facility and there's a lot more runoff. The mistakes are going to have a particularly large knock-on effect, especially, let's say you get a bad turn in out of sector 2, or you make a bad turn 7. That's going to affect your speed for the entire following complex, and that's going to result in tenths being knocked off your times.
Especially if you are having to go on that defensive shape as well, if you're having to go off the racing line to try and keep your position. Then of course, if you are one of the drivers in the middle of that DRS train, you'll be losing time to the car ahead. If you do lose that 1 second, then you could find yourself under massive pressure later on as well, when we do get onto the start finish straight. You'll have lots of cars over you, lots of cars trying to make the move. Now we are jumping into qualifying, but unfortunately the drivers are saying it's bugged again, so I don't know whether we're fully getting into it. We can only hope and pray, but yeah, it seems like some drivers are having the bug again on the loading screen.
Well, you win some, you lose some. I think we've had far too many positive rounds where, say, there's been no issues. Sometimes they occasionally like to rear their ugly heads, but say drivers, at least from what I can see in the drivers' chat, they're having a bit of a laugh and a joke about it. They're taking it in jest for the most part. So we'll see what happens with the lobby. We will see what happens, just because apparently some drivers got in after an extended wait time. But we will, of course, see how it goes. We'll, of course, keep you updated here in the commentary box. While we're waiting, though, a good chance to, one, tell us who you are keeping your eye on in tonight's race, whether that's for qualifying, the race itself, and two, be supporting the people who support us. We're lucky to have some great sponsors, like right below us. Wait, other side. Right below us, GT Omega and Sim Racing Centre. They're just part of the team that make this possible, but we're really happy to have them supporting us here at PSGL. Use code PSGL for a healthy discount at checkout. And so whether you need racing seats, sim rig, training, or anything else in between, they got you covered. And we're very thankful to have them continue to support us throughout. And with that being said, folks, it looks like after a little bit of turmoil and a little bit of umming and ahhing, we have got ourselves in the game. And we are starting qualifying as we speak. Drivers are not hesitating. Everyone is jumping out that pit right now. Let's jump straight in. we're not going to waste any time. Let's get ourselves on track now. Okay, so we are finally trackside, folks. Looked a little bit of an extended wait time, but we thank you as always for your patience, and everyone is rushing out as fast as they can to get themselves out on the course. Of course, still using the F1 World cars, unfortunately, but that is just a trapping of the current situation where we still have not had updates to the car performance models, as well as slipstream being countered with collisions turned off, and that will require a race restart after the qualifying in order to rectify the settings. Gotta say, first few drivers out, looking very eager. We got Lund near the back, but we've got Liam Stevens currently leading said queue.
Liam Stevens wanting to get on with it, and after a bit of waiting, it's finally time to bring you laps at the limit from Mexico City as well. Liam Stevens starting it off, coming out of the final corner on this circuit. Also, do have to say, welcome to the PCF2 grid to Angelo as well, getting their promotion from PCF3, so it'll be interesting to see how they get on here throughout the rest of this season in PCF2. Ben Marbles, of course, had the exact same promotion a few rounds ago. So yeah, great to see some drivers getting promoted who've been working incredibly well and performing very well in F3.
Well, that's the joy of having the ability to promote and relegate like we do here in PSGL. Having those tiers so close to one another at times means that talent gets recognized. If you outperform your grid, like we've seen in the past, say a name Sven Schumacher comes to mind, if you outperform your grid, you are going to get moved up, you're going to get put to fairer competition, and you're going to get recognized for those talents, as we're seeing right here. Liam Stevens, currently the fastest in terms of getting out on the field and being the first to set their times. Going into the third sector, things are looking fairly good, if a little bit smoky, a little bit of lockups, although not sure how much of that is purely visuals. And the matte black car of Liam Stevens is rocketing their way around the course. Recharge lights coming on. Initial benchmark is a 12.9.
1 minute 12.9 for the rest of the field to beat. Let's see what they're all going to be able to do. So, Joris goes up to second place, Parodi to P3, then we have Daniel going into P4, Camel Statra ahead of them all into P1 with a 1 minute 12.895, so just ahead of Liam Stevens as the first few laps start to come on the board. Julian Klaffenbach has invalidated on this run, as well as Rishan Jacobs also does come across the line with the second slowest time so far in P12. So it's Camel Statra, Liam Stevens, then we have Joris, Tycho Hardy and Riley McKay, the top 5 so far, and we have then Parodi, Ben Marples, Jan Halliday, Keane Godendorp, Leo Lund, but we still have a few more drivers about to come across the line as well to see what their first run is going to be.
Looks like a couple of drivers decided to go a bit out of cadence with the rest of the field. We have Kai Pearson right now, who's pushing for a lap after the rest of the field has done so. I'm not sure whether they chose to early abandon or whether they genuinely planned to catch the rest of the field off guard and use a bit more of the open track. Potentially a little bit distracting, who knows, we'll see. It's interesting as well that Klaffenbach looks to already be giving it 110%. They may be the style of driver who gives it too much and then dials it back to a happy medium rather than the other way around. But Pearson taking a little bit of a wobble and unfortunately invalidating on Sector 2. So is Klaffenbach going for another run? Nope, this looks to be an in-lap. Their battery is fully depleted and they will not be going out for at least another couple of minutes.
A trip back to the pit for Julian Klaffenbach at this moment. Of course, we'll still have a lot more time to set a lap, but time is going to be ticking all the way through if they do face another invalidation. That's what no drivers can afford to do. And you can find yourself a little bit on the back foot. You always want to get the banker lap, you always want to set the banker lap at the start of the session so you have something to build on. And then, of course, if you do make mistakes later on in the session, then you at least you've still got a lap time on the board. It can be very critical for the drivers, but Klaffenbach will definitely be trying to set a clean lap next time around. And that's right now what Lukumski and Benzoni are doing. They are both on outlap, so out of sync with all of the other drivers.
Lukomski, Benzoni, both drivers who have proved themselves in this field and know on their day how to make it count. Let's see how they can do here in Mexico. They will be coinciding with a lot of drivers who are coming out of the pits, but hopefully it's not too much of a distraction. Benzoni starting the lap now, easily going to be crossing the 200-mile-an-hour barrier before we get into the first corner. It's a DRS zone as well. And you can see 8th gear, they're giving it absolutely everything. Over 210 miles an hour coming from the white and black F1 World Car. Looking very nice, almost Andretti fantasy style. If anyone's seen some of those concept renders, you'll know what I mean. Looking very good for Benzoni though, steering out of the way of traffic as well as getting into their ideal racing line. The rest of the field being respectful of the drivers who are on their runs, and that is exactly what we want to see. It's a purple first for Benzoni, and they look to be setting themselves up well for at least the top 10.
Absolutely, Riccardo Benzoni, one of our winners from this season, but is still yet to take a pole position. Is today the day where that changes for Benzoni, who is going to be coming now to the end of the second sector, 54.66 for when you add up the first, when you add up the second, but it all matters when you add up the third sector. And you can see it's sliding around. It's not been a good third sector for Riccardo Benzoni through the stadium section, and now he'll be getting his foot to the floor. He'll be coming across the line, Will Benzoni, and it'll only be good enough for P15, a lap that went wrong in the final sector, as we're also going to get Lukumski over the line. Different story, up to P4 for Lukumski, who was able to keep it nice and tidy through the all three sectors around Mexico City, 83 thousandths off Camel Statra, so it's very close with 6 cars right now in a 10th between first and sixth. So it's already looking close here in Mexico for that 1 point for pole, which you can earn in this qualifying session, an addition for this season, of course.
Yeah, that was Lukomski having the lap that Benzoni wish he had, but unfortunately a bit of a kick from the rear axle meant that he dropped several tenths in that final sector. Not going to be walking away with that top 10 after all. Stachura right now on the field currently leads with a .895. Is there going to be an improvement from the red car? I can see that both teammates have tried to emulate their Ferrari constructors as much as possible here, and the effort doesn't go unappreciated. It does make it much easier for us in the commentary box, I assure you. But at the same time, it's nice to see some variance in designs. Unfortunately, Stachura 2 tenths down coming up to the end of Sector 2, and an invalidation in Sector 3 is going to be curtains for that attempt. But there is one driver who is going to have a shot at redemption after an invalidated first run, and with plenty of pressure on their shoulders from a defensive spot as Top 8 comes to the top of the board with a .891. Klaffenbach is the one we watch to see if they can make a challenge.
It'll be interesting to see what Klaffenbach is able to do. First of all, Tycho Hardy, who moves up to P5. Let's see what our championship leader can do, though, bringing it to the end of the lap. Now he's going to send it into the final few corners in the stadium section as well. So it's Top 8, then Camel Stoutra and Harvey Cohen currently, as Riley McKay now goes to the front of the field by 600ths of a second. Where is Julian Klaffenbach going to come out with all of those laps? Currently he's going to be in P8 as he gets his first lap on the board. So it's P8 for Julian Klaffenbach, just over a 10th away, but at least he's got a lap time on the board now to build off in the final run in this session. Great stuff though from Riley McKay, able to move up to P1, and Tope up to second place. Camel Statra still in P3.
Very impressive from those drivers, say McKay in particular, making quite the jump on Tope, who got just 4 milliseconds on Stachura, the previous leader. So McKay to go in and get a .829. That's certainly a statement to the rest of the field that track evolution is real, and McKay's not come to play around this time. Looking at the field, though, we've got a few other drivers who are also looking to push. Many coming into the pits, like Hjeltsen. They did get into P11 after everything. With Klaffenbach only in P8. Now, that is still an impressive time, don't get me wrong. But considering the position they're in at the championship, while they have got a point sponge to afford to soak up a little bit of loss, the pressure is certainly going to be on. Now, I know that they make up a lot of their time in the race, but you still have to put yourself in a good position, especially here at Mexico, where DRS is going to be such a big benefactor for closing any major distance.
Absolutely. Top two currently chasing their first pole position of the season. Still 7 minutes and 50 seconds to go on the clock to find out whether they will be able to achieve it. Camel Statra straight back on the circuit. And he's had a pole position this season earlier on. And he'll be hoping to emulate that and do it once again here at Mexico City as well. Tycho Hardy. Now, it was an incredible start to the season for him, but he has had no points in the last 4 races. So it's been a disappointing couple of races for Tycho Hardy. He'll now be trying to bounce back, and he'll absolutely need to bounce back in the next few races to move himself higher up in the championship, because he was a driver who started off very well, but it's gone a little bit downhill in the last 4 races for him.
Tycho is a driver that we've certainly watched with eager anticipation, and such a strong start in the season too. But I can't help but feel that they've lost a bit of their momentum, and it's very hard to pick that back up again. Sometimes when you have a loss, it's easy to get into your head and sort of overthink the moves that you try to make, and it's very hard to get out of that. So I can't imagine the kind of sort of stressed sometimes that Hardy might be placing himself under, trying to push himself to get himself back up to that front spot. And looking at the rest of the field, it looks like we're going to be seeing plenty of challenges and fight from this field, as we can now come to see Kai Pearson unfortunately invalidate, but it's going to be a 13.1. Very impressive stuff from him.
Impressive stuff indeed from him. Liam Stevens was pushing on, but was not happy with the lap, so he's not going to waste time going around once again. It will be a trip back to the pit lane for him. Camel Statra up in the first sector by 50 milliseconds right now, and let's see what about in the second sector. Camel Statra currently still going for it, and it's 67 thousandths up, which would put him 2 thousandths ahead of Riley McKay as it stands right now. So let's see what Camel Statra is going to be able to do. He's going to be heading for the line, makes his way out of the final corner, and then his foot flat to the floor all the way to the line. Riccardo Benzoni now goes into P1. Can Camel Statra displace him as he comes over the line? And he's going to stay in P4, so wasn't able to do it in the final sector. Tope is also improving a little bit, but a great lap for Benzoni, able to move himself up right now to the top of the sheets, joined by Jan Halliday, who's second in the championship, and right now he's also second in qualifying.
Looking great. Looking great from the field. And what I'm very excited to see, apologies, just trying to deal with some technical issues in the background, folks. What I'm very excited to see above all else is that the drivers, if you look at the timings and the standings, they are so close to one another. They are ridiculously close. And we're talking seconds, not just seconds, not just tenths, not hundredths, milliseconds between drivers. 5 between Jan Halliday and Riley McKay. Benzoni has done a major job in pushing that board up into the 0.7s, and now it's final stretches, final rushes from this field as they continue to push the bar. Klaffenbach is going to be another one who's trying to make good advantage of that.
What Julian Klaffenbach is going to be able, it's going to be trying to do. Angelo currently in 10th position. Great stuff from them as well, as we see Leo Land improve to 7th position. Julian Klaffenbach is up by nearly 0.2 of a second by the time that he leaves Sector 2, now enters Sector 3. You can see he's really dancing the car on the edge, fighting it all the way through, trying to extract everything he can as he makes his way now out of the final corner. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. Currently in 14th. Is that going to be an improvement? It's going to be an improvement all the way to the top of the timing sheets. A 1 minute 12.714, and our championship leader bounces back and is now currently in P1. Still under 4 minutes to go for the other drivers to respond.
Yeah, we've only got a couple of minutes for drivers to continue to do this. And it looks like we've got a couple of drivers who are still out there and on the recovery laps.
Indeed. So they are going to be trying their best now to, first of all, come back in the pit lane and then get back going, prepare for the final push lap in this qualifying session. It's going to be critical for all of these drivers to get the final lap right. That's when the track will be at its best as well. So that's where the drivers will need to try and find a step forward. Don't find a step forward, and you could find yourselves losing quite a few places as well. With how close the margins are, we mention it week in, week out, because it's basically close every single week here in PSGL, PC, F2. Kai Pearson now heading onto the circuit. Julian Klavenbach is going to be coming back into the pit lane, but if you aren't able to find an improvement at the end, you could leave yourself vulnerable to dropping quite a few places and giving yourself a hard task in the race around Mexico, where in a DRS train it can be a little bit hard to overtake, as we've already talked to you about. But now cars heading back out for their outlaps for this final run.
Final runs now, and looking like the drivers are going to be giving it 110%. Molnar, Godadorp, and Komsky, they're all jumping out right now, and I am very excited to see what they do.
It'll be interesting. See what they are able to do indeed. So Daniel is going to be trying to turn third into first. It's Benzoni currently who is going to be the nearest challenger to Julian Klaffenbach as well. Benzoni chasing their first pole of the season. We've got so many drivers trying to do that. Jan Halliday second in the championship and trying to get on terms with Julian Klaffenbach, who's got a 16-point advantage coming into this race. Let's see by the end of this session, can he reduce it to 15 and give himself the best opportunity in the race as well to reduce it. Now, it's a very long run to turn number one around this circuit, so so pole position might not even be the best position, but in the race it always changes around here in Mexico, so getting that 1 point for pole always very critical, and also a huge confidence boost for these drivers if they do top the timing sheets when it is so close. The margins are so close. We mentioned how close it is, so if you do come out on top with a very fast and talented 20 drivers, 19 other drivers in the field, then it definitely is satisfying as we get the final run of qualifying underway now.
Yep, final runs, and it's going to be tough. I'm looking at the drivers now. I'm looking at the fields. Statura is going to be pushing. Of course, they had that early lead, and they want to continue to fight for that. So let's stay on board with them as they continue to go. Unfortunately, apologies, folks. I'd say I'm having a bit of an issue in the background, so I'm going to let the brilliant commentator Omi take the lead on this one.
Kai Pearson currently in 20th position as they come over the line. Camel Sartre, though, pushing on 38 thousandths of a second, so not the ideal first sector, but there is still room for improvement when we go to the second part of the lap, which is what Camel Sartre is navigating now. Outlap currently for Julian Klaffenbach, who will be beginning his lap right now as well. So he'll be one of the last drivers to come over the line and respond to whoever is able to get ahead, if anyone is able to get ahead. Camel Sartre attacking his way through the S section right now. Kian Godendorf moves up to 7th, now 8 as well, because we've seen an improvement. Riley McKay currently in 6th. What can Camel Sartre do? He is up by 28 thousandths of a second. The checkered flag is out. Ben Marples improves to P4. What can Camel Sartre do? Already has been on pole once this season. Can he now upgrade it to 2 as he gets on the power? Lukumsky moves up to P9. Camel Sartre comes across the line. It's good enough for P5, and we've currently got the top 5 under a 10th off each other as Parodi moves up to P4. Great lap time. Jan Halliday takes it away from Julian Klavenbach. An incredible lap, and now third in the championship. Joris goes to the front of the field by 69 thousandths of a second. Tope to P3, but we're going to get the response from Julian Klavenbach. No, he's invalidated. Julian Klavenbach has invalidated and is also down as well, so he will not be able to find anything at the end. What can Riley McKay do across the line? Can Riley McKay do anything? It's an improvement of time by 7 thousandths of a second, but not position. Riley McKay in 11th, and that is going to be it. That is going to be it. Great time from Joris at the end, able to beat Jan Halliday and Tope. Lots of improvement, and Julian Klavenbach was going to be the last car over the line, but due to his invalidation, he did not get a chance to respond. He'll go from P5, but it's Joris who has got the 1 point for pole.
And final couple of drivers now coming through. Stevens unfortunately validating despite being on better runs, and you got Crozen who takes the top, 0.627. Wow. All I can say is wow.
We said it was always going to be close. There we go. Fantastic. Every single round PSGL delivering in qualifying and also in the race, which we still have coming your way. 36 laps of pure action around Mexico City and a long run down to turn 1, which will be interesting. But the top 5 in a tenth of each other, it is fantastic to see.
And look at the field. You've got Crozen with say 0.069 gap, and then you've got Tope and Benzoni on the exact same times. Claverbox slightly behind, and then you've got Hjelton, Parodi, Marple, Staturer, Stevens, Mackey, Lekomsky, Godendorp, Hardy, Lund, Cohen, Jacobs, Dortensio, Molnar, and Pearson rounding it all out. What a field, what a grid, and I am extremely impressed. Well, we'll give it a second. Sorry, everyone. We're going to give a quick second to talk about our sponsors, and of course, we will be right back with you discussing the race and what's to lie ahead. But we'll see you very soon. Alright folks, we are back. Unfortunately an issue with the camera, which means we are going to have to take it off. And now we are going to be waiting eagerly for the racing to start. Of course, we have the drivers who have come off of qualifying. But why don't you take a second, Omi? I know you were jumping on some different views than what I was, but any particular drivers you wanted to highlight here?
First of all, I think we have to highlight our top 3, Joris, Jan Halliday, Tope. Fantastic stuff by them. Ricardo Benzoni also finding an improvement. Those 4 able to jump Julian Claflin, so they found the improvement when they required in the final run as well. Unfortunate for Julian Klaffenbach with that invalidation, but he'll get the chance, he'll get the right to reply in the race that is coming our way, and we're just going to have a little restart for us, and then we're going to be able to bring you the action from Mexico City, and it's always a very exciting start in Mexico City. You've got such a long run to turn number 1, so things can change around very quickly around this circuit. So looking forward to this race getting underway. Of course, after we do the quick lobby restart, turn collisions back on, and get ourselves fully prepared for what should be another exciting race this season.
We will have to, of course, take a bit of a break to reset the lobby. Unfortunately, due to the game and the issues with the slipstream, we have to turn off collisions, and that is a solution to the slipstream, but we have to turn them back on, requiring a lobby restart, requiring a reset of everything. And while it is frustrating, it's a necessary evil that we sometimes have to contend with here in order to make sure there's a fair qualifying and everyone has a fair shot.
Absolutely, indeed. We have an absolutely fantastic qualifying session. As you can see, the margins are so close, so any sort of unfair advantage given to a driver, especially around a circuit like this where you've got such a long straight as well, it can mean that some drivers are gaining a little bit of an advantage compared to others, and when the margins are so close, it could come down to that little slipstream they are gaining, and that could be the thing that gives them the 1.4 pole. And if it's happening week in, week out, it could change the championship, because the PSGL championship always comes down to those littlest of points, so it can all change around very quickly, meaning that the drivers, if they are gaining a little bit of an advantage, even if it is in qualifying, it can completely change the picture in the championship when we get to the business end of the season in Brazil. So it's the fairest way of doing things. We get a fantastic qualifying, we have to wait a little bit, and then we get a brilliant race as well.
Well, of course, while we take the time to wait for that, predictions. Any predictions from you, Omi, about who we should be keeping an eye on tonight?
I think it's going to be absolutely wide open. Of course, keep your eye on your usual drivers at the front. Of course, you have Krozen always fighting for it. And then we have Klaffenbach as well, and then also Jan Halliday. I'm going to be keeping an eye though on Tycho Hardy. We've already talked about how the last 4 races he's not scored points. In the first 3 races he was on the podium, and then the last 4 he hasn't scored points at all. So it'll be interesting to see if he is able to bounce back, and is he able to find some momentum. If it does start clicking for him, then he could be one to watch for the remaining races throughout this season. And it all starts right here, right now, for this race that is coming our way in Mexico. So yes, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on Tycho Hardy and see how he is getting on in the race.
Oh, we're just waiting for that lobby restart to come through now. I'm personally going to keep an eye on Tope. I think he put up a great performance, and I definitely think they've got a lot to give here. And we'll see what they can do. Reminder of the standings, folks. You can see right now. And we can see, say, Klaffenbach want to be from a defensive position. And Jan Halliday. Sorry, I'll let you take that one, Obi. Sorry, my bad.
No worries at all. But yeah, Klaffenbach, definitely one to keep an eye on as well. He's going to be trying to defend. He's going to be doing his absolute best. And of course, if he can continue winning races, he's won the most races this season. 3 every time he stood on the podium. He's been on the top step of the podium. It's been flawless from Julian Klaffenbach. No wonder why he was called up to PCF1 as well last a few races ago. So it was a great opportunity for him. And if these drivers do impress in PCF2, chances like that definitely do come as well. We've been seeing as well some good esports teams hiring them. So it's great to see these drivers getting picked up. So performing in PSGL is always very critical for these drivers, especially if you are in PCF2, PCF3. If you get picked up early and you continue showing improvement as well every season, then you could be picked up by a team and maybe find yourselves in F1 sim racing in a couple of seasons. So performing is very crucial for all of these drivers in this season, and also practicing week in, week out for all of the different circuits. And there will be some circuits that suit drivers, there will be some circuits that don't, but it's always about damage limitation, getting those fourths, getting those fifths, and you're doing very well in the championship. Like Liam Stevens is proving, as I mentioned, he's been in the top 6 since in every race this season, bar the first race at Silverstone where he retired.
Well, hopefully we don't see any retirements out there tonight as we get everyone ready to go. Everyone is now back in the session, and we are just, I think, waiting, ready to go.
Be setting up the grid. We'll be getting everything prepared, and the drivers will load up their setups, get their strategy sorted as well. When I was speaking with Richie earlier, of course, the former commentator of PCF2, and of course doing E-Series, make sure you watch that tomorrow. He was saying that was going to be an interesting race with the strategy. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on everything when it comes to the strategy in the race. Timing your pit stops could be critical as well. And if you are going for the undercut or the overcut, jumping up a few places can be critical around the circuit if you are starting in the middle of the pack or near the back, due to the DRS trains that form around the circuit, meaning it can be a little bit tricky to pass. And if you are going for some desperate moves, it can, of course, lead to the consequence of contact and damage, which many drivers have faced throughout this season. But hopefully we're not going to see too much of that. We're probably going to get a little bit here and there, because there will be some drivers who do need to try take a little bit of the risk, but hopefully it will be limited, and we'll get a lot in the way of overtaking and action all the way through. And guess what? We're about to get the action going soon. The drivers now will be loading in to the race. They'll be getting their setups and their strategies sorted, as we mentioned, and then we'll be racing, and we'll be racing down to turn number 1 here at Mexico, and there will be quite a lot of work for our pole sitter to try hold the lead by the time that we hit the brakes for turn 1. We're going to be getting going here at Mexico. It's going to be a very fascinating race coming our way for sure, as we now look down in the pit lane, and soon we'll be looking to those 5 red lights. Very fascinating race though coming our way. Let's see whether Julian Klaffenbach can take his 4th victory of the season. What is Joris Benzoni, Jacobs, and Halliday going to do? We've already seen them we've already seen them on the top step of the podium. Hopefully they will be here once again, and I cannot wait to see how they are going to get on. And then we've had multiple drivers on the podium this season. Klaffenbach has been on it 3 times, so has Hardy. Klaffenbach, as I mentioned earlier, has been on the podium every time he is he's been on the podium every time he's won. So he's only won when he's been on the podium. So he's a driver with a lot of pace and times those last laps to perfection. But yeah, Hardy with 3, Joris also with 2, then Lund, Lukumski with 2, Benzoni, Hold'em, Jacobs, and Tony Ritchie, Tope, and Gregory, of course, who's not racing anymore, also scored a podium. Halliday scored 2, so has Nelson now. So quite a few drivers we've seen on the podium this season, and hoping that we're going to be able to see some more here today when we look to those 5 red lights. Let's see if we're going to add to any of those lists, and let's see what sort of action we are going to get on the run towards the first corner. It is a very long run to the first corner, as I mentioned, so hopefully it will be a very exciting start to the race with our pole sitter trying to defend. We're about to get that race start coming our way now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights in Mexico City. Lights out, and we're racing to turn number 1 with a good reaction time from Joris. Jan Halliday is going to be trying to pull alongside, and you can see that Tope and Ricardo Benzoni are going to be tucking in the system. We're going full wide for the lead as we make our way towards the first corner. Who is going to hold the lead? Into turn number 1, it's going to be Joris. Benzoni going forward to the inside. Klaffenbach being passed by Tope, who is turning the outside line to the inside to third position. Great stuff for Tope. Then it's Halliday. Then it's Julian Klaffenbach still in P5 after a very hectic start to the race. The battling all continues as we go down to turn number 4. The drivers at the front on those medium compound of tyres. Julian Klaffenbach throwing one to the inside of Jan Halliday. Also trying to get past Tope as well is Halliday. Going to be able to get there. He's got the inside line. We're so close to making contact, and it's going to be Halliday. Then it's going to be Klaffenbach. Then Daniele Parodi in 6th. Daniel in 7th, Liam Stevens, Ben Marples, King Godendorf moving up to P10, and he's still side by side with Camel Stoucher. Are they both going to be able to make their way through the S section? Just about, and it's Godendorf who is firing away by up to P10. He is going to go. The drivers on the hard compound of tyres are Tycho Hardy along with Harvey Cohen, and we've also got Kai Pearson and Andre Molnar. Losing a couple of places is Leo Lund, and Leo Lund is fighting his way now, trying to fight his way back through. He's up against Riley McKay as we see the fastest lap for our race leader holding the lead down to the first turn, but you could see that there was quite a lot of slipstream on our way to the first turn, and it's Benzoni now who is tucking in the slipstream under a bit of pressure on Tope, who is going to be challenging for the lead. It could get very close down to turn number 1. Tope sends one to the inside, and they remain wheel to wheel. They remain side by side. Benzoni is going to lose out when it turns into a traction race, and Klaffenbach in P4. Then it's Halliday. Daniele Parodi pulling alongside and trying to go the long way round. Is Parodi going to be able to get there? What a dramatic start to this race. We're side by side, and that is a bit of contact as Tope gets hit around, and it's Crozen. Then it's going to be Julian Klaffenbach, then Benzoni, then Parodi. Tope ahead of Daniel. Jan Halliday still side by side. It's been such an aggressive start between all these drivers, and while they brawl for second place, it's given Joris Crozen a gap 1 second right now. That's so critical around this circuit, and they've been battling like crazy on this lap so far, and it's a 1 second gap between first and second, and it's Klaffenbach who's fired away by to second place in the race. Liam Stevens is battling up against Jan Halliday. Kian Godendorf in there as well, as Angelo on his PCF2 debut also tries to make his way through. Godendorf moving up to 8th position, getting past Jan Halliday. As we make our way back onto the straight, some side by side further back, that is Lukumski, who is trying to get past Angelo on the run towards the first corner. There's going to be battling for second place, and Benzoni is going to move up to second position while they absolutely brawl behind as well. Down to the first corner we go, late on the brakes, and that is going to be Parodi trying to fight your way by. Tope, who's been doing a lot of battling so far in this race, ghosted momentarily, and still battling with Parodi when they stand on the power. Look at the speed that Daniel's going to have here. He's going to have to back out of it, getting boxed in now, but has been able to move up to P5, going the long way around and taking the place as well. So fantastic stuff from Daniel, Leo Lund and Rishan Jacobs going side by side. They're battling over 16th and 17th. Also Tycho Hardy has now got in the mix. He's in P15. Leo Lund on those medium compound of tyres, trying to use the advantage of those medium compound of tyres, and he was trying to get through on the inside line. Meanwhile, Liam Stevens is currently trying his absolute best to get past Parodi. Godendorf is in 8th. Then we find ourselves with Halliday, Ben Marples. They complete the top 10, and still the battle goes on between Jacobs and Lund, both of them on the medium compound of tyres, and both of them trying to find a way through on Tycho Hardy, but battling amongst themselves while they do it. Now, the gap that was 1 second for the lead is now 2/10 and decreasing because Benzoni is using the DRS. He's pulling alongside, and we're getting another race leader now because Benzoni, by the time that he hits the brakes for turn number 1, is going through, and that is not going to be a contest down to turn number 1. We'll look further back, and that's going to be Statra up against Ben Marples, and Lukumski's also going to try and take advantage with the battling ahead. He moves up to P11, gets past Ben Marples. Let's see what Angelo can do. Two drivers who were battling in F3 earlier on this season, both have been promoted, but it's Ben Marples momentarily in front, and they will continue the scrap, trying to go the long way around. Is Angelo going to be able to get there? Just about ahead of Ben Marples. That's over 12. And P13, and sliding all over the place was Angelo, ghosted momentarily, but continuing on right now. So a reminder of the drivers on the hard carbon tyres: Cohen, Kai Pearson, Molnar, and then also the highest one is Tycho Hardy in 15th position. So most of the hard runners are currently near the back. All of the other drivers on those mediums, as Godendorf is able to get ahead of Liam Stevens. So he's able to get by 8/10. So we saw the gap close down to 10ths. Now it's closed. Now it's gone back up to nearly nearly 1 second. So fascinating stuff in this race. Tope tucking in the slipstream. Meanwhile, we're also going to get the battle closing in for second position. We'll look further back. There's a move being attempted by Jan Halliday, the driver who's second in the championship, trying to get past the very consistent Liam Stevens. As I mentioned, he's been in the top 6 since round 2, and he is getting away by on Jan Halliday, who is going to try fight back. By the time that we get to turn number 4, they've both got DRS. It's all about who is using the ERS, and it's Liam Stevens who just holds the position. Jan Halliday backs out of it, not wanting to risk it at this stage, and we've seen a lot of risks taken. So some drivers on different approaches. We're seeing some drivers risk it all on these opening couple of stages for this race, and we're also seeing some drivers take a bit more of a calmer approach. But it's a little bit hard to do that when you've got some phenomenal battling all the way through. Sometimes it's pass or be passed. So if you don't make the, if you don't go on the attack, and if you don't take the opportunities when they are there, you can find yourselves being passed. Down the straights, some very long straights around this circuit, so battery management is crucial, and Kian Godendorf going for the latest of lunges on Parodi, did not work, and is that Riley McKay dropping down the order? Riley McKay ghosted, wasn't able to fully catch that one, but Riley McKay ghosted in P17, so has had a moment, and will continue on then on the back of Russian Jacobs now, as we go side by side in the battle for second place. Make that the battle for the lead. Frozen into P1 once again, all for how much longer? Klaffenbach, the driver who started in 5th, our championship leader, trying to find a way through as well, as Tope looks up the inside of Riccardo Benzoni, and now they will have a traction race out of turn number 3, heading towards turn number 4. Is Tope going to be able to keep their foot in? Look at this, cars absolutely everywhere on this circuit right now as we do battle. It's Klaffenbach in 2nd, Benzoni in 3rd, Tope trying to take that P3 away, and it's going to be Benzoni who has just got it for the moment. And this is some really outrageous battling on this circuit. So the drivers all taking risks right now at this stage, especially if you are in the mid-pack, and we promised you action in Mexico City. It is absolutely delivering at this stage of the contest, and it's going to mean now that Parodi's going to try find a way by on Daniel, who's currently in P5. They're battling over 5th and 6th, and Parodi's going to throw a lunge down the inside, and it was a brave attempt, backed out of it. The battling further back continues. Jan Halliday to the apex first, up against Kamil Statra, and it's not the only change as well. We've got battling behind as well between Lukumski, Angelo, Tycho Hardy, as we mentioned, trying to recover, trying to get back in the point after a poor 4 races so far, and he's right now trying to take P12, pulling alongside Angelo, and giving the squeeze. Is Angelo right now down to that first corner, and Angelo from the attack, from the defense, is going to go to the attack, and is going to try find a way through on Lukumski. So Lukumski is dancing all over the road, trying to defend, and Angelo will be darting all over the road as well, trying to go on the attack. So a very interesting race right now coming our way, and you can see they're all battling so much in the mid-pack. That is Stevens up against Halliday. That's a battle that continues, and meanwhile they have to be careful. They don't want to hit the back of Kian Godendorf as we get on the power once again. So it's Crozen in the race lead still, then Julian Klavenbach, then Benzoni, Tope, Daniel, and then Daniel Parodi, Kian Godendorf, Liam Stevens, Jan Halliday, Camel Stoucher. So that's our top 10 for the moment, but it's all going to change very quickly. So it's important to run you through the order with how quickly it is changing. And we'll look further back. That's Rishan Jacobs being passed by Kai Pearson, who is trying to go the long way round, and it's going to be better traction off the corner for Kai Pearson. It's going to be the position by the time that we make our way onto the start-finish straight. We've got a car driving it into the pit lane. That is Leo Lund. So Leo Lund comes into the pit lane, not the only one. Riley McKay into the pit lane as well. So those two making a pit stop. Angelo going backwards, and Angelo being mugged down the start-finish straight. He's currently up alongside Lukumski, both on those medium compound of tyres, both debating for the same piece of tarmac right now, and it's going to be Angelo pushed over the curb as we're going to get a change for the lead. It's going to be Julian Klavenbach who takes P1 in the race ahead of Joris Krozen, and still we're going to battle for P13 and 14. Lukumski to the inside. Angelo, will he be forced wide once again? It's close to contact between the two of them, but it's Lukumski who comes out in front, who comes out in P13 in that battle on lap number 8. So a very fascinating start to this one, and a very fascinating race coming our way as well when we get to the pit stop phase, but this one is definitely delivering. Tope currently pushing Riccardo Benzoni. So Tope, the driver, currently in 4th position and has scored 1 podium. Can they make it 2 today? We've still got a long way to go. Only on lap number 8 out of 36. The race definitely flying by at this stage. Lukumski getting ahead of Angelo. We're absolutely flying through this phase of the race because we're already getting to pit stops. That's how exciting this first part of the race has been as we make our way down the straight now. And Angelo going to try to put the pressure on Lukumski as well, while Kai Pearson is trying to put the pressure on the pair. Is there going to be room for Kai Pearson, who is going to pull out? 3 wide we go, down to turn number 1, and it's going to be Pearson to the inside. Pearson past Lukumski, past Angelo. A great move from Kai Pearson, and now Lukumski and Angelo continue to battle amongst themselves. So it seems like they're too much focused on each other, and it's allowing other drivers to, and it might allow Molnar to as well. As we see Andrea Molnar trying to go the long way around. Daniel makes the move as well on Tope, and still trying to get the switchback, trying to get to the inside part of the circuit. It's Molnar. It's Angelo just ahead of Lukumski. What a scrap it is between these two drivers. They are both definitely right now being very aggressive at this stage of the race with each other. So it's great to see the elbows coming out, but we want both drivers to keep the cars on the road, and that's going to be a lunge to the inside by Parodi, and Tope is now going to get the inside line when we make our way through the stadium section. They are close to contact, banging wheels as we make our way into the final corner, and it's Parodi with the position gained. Into the pit lane comes Daniel, so he'll be the next driver to come in. So it is going to be interesting to see where he is going to come out and where the others will come out when they make their pit stop. Krozen leading the race. Tope now battling for 4th, and then we have 5th with Parodi in 5th position at the moment, and it's Lukumski in 11th, Molnar in 12th, and then Angelo currently finds himself in 13th as we make our way off the corner. Opportunity for Molnar, who this time around last lap found himself 3 wide with Lukumski and Angelo. This time he finds himself past Lukumski, and Andrea Molnar moves up to what is 11th place in the race. Pit stops have taken place, so we'll talk you through where the drivers who currently made a pit stop have come out. You've got Daniel currently in 14th, 5 tenths behind is Stevens, and then we have Kian Godendorf, Leo Lund, Riley McKay, Rishan Jacobs, and Ben Marple. So they're all in that train, and the drivers who are still yet to make a pit stop, it will be interesting to see where they are going to come out as well. Angelo is moving back past Lukumski. Well, it's a never-ending story between these two drivers. They've been in DRS twins, they've been amongst so many other drivers, but it seems like each time around it's them who are going side by side and are battling as we come out of the final corner in this battle. But further up the road we've got some pit stops. Benzoni and Tope is also into the pit lane as well, so is Parodi, so is Camel Stoucher. So they are all diving it in. Everyone who's made a pit stop has gone for those hard compound of tyres, as we see some battling up ahead as well. Hardy in 3rd, Cohen in 4th, Halliday in 5th, Stevens setting the fastest lap, and it keeps changing. Now it belongs to Rishan Jacobs, the driver in P19, but it's Omni fighting down the straight as we see the battle from the drivers who've made a pit stop so far. Stevens trying to go the long way around. That could get very close down to turn 1. So Stevens is ahead. Then it's Godendorf. Daniel trying to fight her way by. and Daniel currently in 12th. But getting on the power now, pulling alongside, drawing alongside, not able to do anything with the momentum. Keep an eye on Riccardo Benzoni. Look at the overspeed he had by the time that he made his way into the braking zone of turn number 4. Daniel, though, is not going to give it up. Benzoni's going to run off the road. Keep an eye behind as well as Kai Pearson fights away by on Jan Halliday. We don't know what to show you at this stage because the race is so exciting. Further back and also at the front, these are the drivers who made a pit stop and they're dueling like crazy. This race kind of reminds me like Hungary, where it was absolutely wild from start to finish, and Klaffenbach and Crozen and Halliday all into the pit lane. They will be amongst this scrap in a second, and that seemed like a very late lunge. Was that Jacobs thinking about it? And now he's the one defending. Kostaucher is trying to go all the way around the outside. That could be close to contact. There is contact between the two of them, and Rishan Jacobs is sent spinning, and he's down to P20. Such a disappointment, trying to get involved in the battling up ahead, and instead he's sent spinning after a bit of contact. That one will definitely be investigated by the stewards if it is reported, of course. And we go too wide once again down the straight. Stevens moving through, and that's Kieran Godendorp close to contact with Julian Klaffenbach. Our championship leader cannot afford any contact in this race, and that's Godendorp running wide. Daniel makes his way through, so does Riccardo Benzoni, who is going to want more cars as well. He's going to try go to the inside of Daniel. Angela given a 3-second time penalty. Is Benzoni going to be able to get there? Side by side we go, wheel to wheel, and it's Daniel who has 8th position, then Benzoni down to 9th, make that 10th because Godendorp is trying to pull alongside. Are they going to risk it? They aren't going to risk it. Godendorp making the correct decision to back out of it before we get into the S section. He's still thinking about it. He's still darting all over the road, looking left, looking right, still staring at that rear wing of Riccardo Benzoni, the driver currently in P9. And we are seeing a battle for 12th now, and that is going to be super close to contact between Tope and Parodi. Those two have been going at it all race long as well, as Hardy moves up into the lead. That's at the front of the field, so Tycho Hardy makes a move on Harvey Curran to take first place in the race. But it's the battle right now behind for 10th that is getting our attention. Leo Lund pulling alongside, and he's going to try and take a position by the time that they hit the brakes for turn number 1. Won't be the only side-by-side that we get. Tope up against Daniele Parodi, so it's a easy pass. Leo Lund up to P10, and Tope ahead of Parodi. So those two both dueling down to the first corner, and it's Tope who came out on top. Riley McKay with some great speed, and he's going to take advantage. Parodi using quite a bit of ERS, and trying to take advantage was Riley McKay. Is he going to be able to get his reward for taking the risk of going to the inside of turn number 4? They still remain side by side, still wheel to wheel, and it's Parodi who just about stays ahead. This is exactly what we've been saying. It's pass or be pass stuff. So all the drivers having to attack, having to defend in this one. They've got no other choice because you find yourself battling and gaining on one driver for a moment, and then the next moment you're under pressure and being passed left and right. So the racing around Mexico definitely delivering not only down our usual opportunities. Yes, we're getting a lot of passes there as we get another one for the lead there, just making easy DRS swaps right now, not battling, not losing time, because they still need to make a pit stop in this one. So the top 4 still needing to make a pit stop, and then it's Julian Klavenbach, Liam Stevens, who are our net race leaders right now. So it's Klaffenbach making the move on Stevens. Once again, we'll look further back because Kian Godendorp looking forward to the inside of Leo Lund. This seems to be the battle right now that is delivering lap after lap, corner after corner, and it's Lund still with the position. Lukumski just ahead of Ben Marples. Ben Marples still with quite a bit of ERS, who's been letting everyone else do the passing, and that's Angelo also making his way through as well. So Angelo up to P19 in the race, and it's Kai Pearson currently in P3. So Kai Pearson in P3. He is, of course, with Tycho Hardy and Harvey Curran all in the DRS train as well. Molnar in P4. And he's got a 3.4 second gap ahead. And he's also still yet to make a pit stop. And then we get to the crazy fighting that is behind as well. Camel Structure pushing Jan Halliday, the driver that is second right now in the title race. And he'll be trying to get himself closer and closer up to Julian Klavenbach. But look at the amount of cars that are between him and Klaffenbach, who is the leader of the train with the fastest lap. Not a surprise because he's got the gap up to 9/10 of a second. So great stuff from him, as we once again are making our way over the line down towards the first corner. Top 8 is having a look and giving a little tap to Kian Godendorp, saying get on with it through the first corner and the first few corners of this lap, making our way down towards turn number 4. Rishan Jacobs, after that contact that he had, he'll be a driver that wants to get on with it. Doesn't have the most ERS, unfortunately, at this stage, but that is the case for most drivers. He's trying to take a different racing line as Rishan Jacobs and trying to find a way by on Kamil Stoutra as we attack our way onto the straight. For our leaders currently, Ben Marple's given a 3-second time penalty. We're right now waiting and seeing where the next move is going to be. Who is going to be the driver that pounces in this DRS train that we currently have for 5th position. So it will be interesting to see how this one is going to play out. You want to start making your way a little bit forward and as close as possible to the train at the front for 5th, which will become the net race, which is the net race lead right now, will become the race lead as soon as our top 4 dive it into the pit lane. And we are seeing a bit of a battle down the straight, and we're going to see Joris Krozen up to P5, Liam Stevens, then we're going to see Daniel, Julian Klavenbach being absolutely mugged down that straight. Benzoni, 9/10 gap, he'll be able to close that in with the battling that we saw down at the first part of the circuit. Ben Marples has retired, and he's also left the session, so no surprise there. So unfortunately, that will be his day over for Ben Marples. Not been the best few races in PCF2 so far. It was a disappointment in race 1 to a point where where the standings weren't out for PCF2. So I put the question to him, is this your PCF2 debut? And he replied with, well, I would have said yes, because I didn't notice in the end, but he replied with, I would have said yes, because I had such a bad race in race 1. So it's not been the best, and then also last time out for him in Jeddah wasn't the best of results as well. So it's a retirement here in Mexico. So he'll be hoping that next time out it does change, and we've got plenty of races for drivers to try and get some momentum. And we already talked about how Tycho Hardy is going to be trying to do that, and it can be a little bit difficult for a driver if you start the season so well and it all goes downwards from that point. And here comes Daniel now making the move on Liam Stevens. Julian Klavenbach is in there as well as we get the battling down to the first corner once again. So Stevens trying to get ahead of Daniel. He's going to do that. He's going to move up to P6 in the race. Down the straight we go once again. And Julian Klavenbach using ERS, trying to put the pressure on Daniel, who is going defensive slightly. Klavenbach looking for that outside line, looking for the inside line, has to sit behind in the end though. Nothing doing for him there. Parodi, Tope, still both battling. And we have Parodi ghosted momentarily as those two continue battling over what is 12th and 13th at the moment. We make our way through the S section. Lap 17, getting up to half race distance very, very shortly. So getting up to half race distance very, very shortly in this race. 7.9 seconds is the gap between Krozen and Molnar. Molnar and all the drivers ahead still yet to make a pit stop in this one, as Kai Pearson is moving up into the lead. An easy DRS pass and switch between those two drivers. Back onto the straight we go, and we look for who is pulling alongside. It seems like some good speed for Daniel. He's going to back out of it, not wanting to make the move, or is he going to want to make it in the second phase of the straight? Has a little loop to the inside. Instead, it will be an attack coming from Klavenbach, who tried to get past Daniel. Instead, he might have to go on the defensive now. Benzoni had some great speed on the X. He's got a lot of ERS to use as well, and now he's debating whether he wants the outside line, whether he wants the inside line. It will be the inside line in the end. Elected for him, both of them are going to dive to the inside of Daniel. That could be close to contact. Our championship leader has got to be careful in these sort of scraps, and it's Benzoni who in the end loses the place to Leo Lund, who is trying to go the long way around. He is wheel to wheel with Benzoni. By the time that we get to the S section, is anyone going to give an inch? It will be Benzoni, who has been giving up the places when we get to that part of the circuit. He's found himself on that outside line, and he does not want to take the risk. And it's a good decision at this stage of the race. You don't want to risk contact. You don't want to risk your race coming to an end. Kian Godendorp, though, is going to be trying to put the pressure and challenge Ben Zoni as well. And of course, we are seeing the ghosting momentarily. I believe from what we're seeing in the chat, it was a bit of a lobby error, so the settings haven't been set correctly. So hopefully we'll have that turned off for next race. And top A fighting away through on Kian Godendorp, who will be ultra late on the brakes. And Kian Godendorp, instead of being passed, nearly looking for a move on Benzoni. And we're getting quite a few of those moments on this circuit where a driver is finding themselves defending one moment, then attacking the next, or the other way around as well. Here we go with King Godendorf once again trying to get to the apex first. Up against Riccardo Benzoni. Is he going to be able to get there? Benzoni's going to hold on to the place. And now here comes Tope trying his luck around the outside. Now ghosted. And that will allow Parodi through. Parodi's going to go through. Riley McKay will take advantage of the ghosting as well. And they're side by side as we make our way through the S section. Well, not really side by side, inside each other due to the ghosting at this stage. But let's see who's going to find a way ahead. I think Topic got out of the power, and it's also allowed Lukumski through as well, who moves up to P14. And Lukumski's going to send one to the inside. Aggressive stuff up against Riley McKay, and that's close to contact between the two of them. Riley McKay is off the road momentarily, so is Lukumski. It's Lukumski who manages to make the move as Taika Hardy gets past Harvey Cohen. Jan Halliday side by side with Angelo as we make our way down the straight as well. And while they battle for P16, they're getting closer to top A, and that will be on the grass for Angelo, who's trying to find a way by as well, as Daniel makes the move on Liam Stevens down to the first corner. Angelo's also going to go from Riley McKay. This is absolutely outrageous stuff from Angelo, trying to take another position. We go side by side still in the battle for P6. Daniel up against Liam Stevens, who is going to come out on top. By the time that we go to turn number 4, not a lot of ERS for Daniel, and a bit more for Liam Stevens, and also P6 for Liam Stevens as well. All of them out of shape when we go through turn number 5 and 6. Still looking further back, Camel Stoucher has found himself in P18, the driver with quite a bit of pace this season. And Camel Stoucher is going to be hoping that he is going to be able to get a good result here today. Still time for it to change, but unfortunately he would need the race to change quite a bit, which it is PCF2, it is PSGL, anything is possible. So he will be hoping for a safety car, which can fully change up the race for him. Okay, Molnar diving it into the pit lane. So we've been in formation between our top 4 for quite a while, and that will become now top 3 because Molnar has decided to come into the pit lane, having a bit of a lonely race during the phase where everyone else dived it in. He wasn't really close to the top 3, so he was stuck basically just driving around this circuit. Now he's going to be trying to attack. He'll still be coming out onto this circuit with quite a bit of a gap ahead, but if they do battle like crazy, or if there is a safety car, it does open the door for him. So all of the drivers electing not to go for moves this time around. I should actually look further back because Camel Starcher's got a buy on Jan Halliday. That was a move down to turn number 4, so he's going to fight away by Angelo, currently the only driver with a penalty. We mentioned about penalties being a factor. Only one driver has got it so far. Through the S section we go. Leo Lund, the driver in P8, who is on the back of Julian Claverbock, championship leader as we mentioned. And in these battles, it is crucial for the drivers to not risk it all. Especially if you are Julian Claverbock or even Jan Halliday, you cannot afford a retirement. Prosen in there as well. He is currently in P4. The leader of this train then, the leader of this battle that goes on. He's got 11.4 seconds to the top 3. We're battling once again. Liam Stevens, latest on the brakes, but he was a bit too late. Daniel fights back in the second phase of the corner. He tries to get by, and he's going to get run out of road. He could open the door for Julian Clavenbach, who's going to be past Daniel, and now he is drawing alongside Liam Stevens as well. Is he going to be able to get past both of them by the time that we get to turn number 4? Okay, so he's cleared. Daniel now, can he turn the outside line to the inside on Liam Stevens, who will surely not want to give it up. Liam Stevens has been in the top 6 in every single race so far, other than the opening race where he retired. He's currently still in the top 6, but he's behind Julian Clavenbach now, who fires a way by to P5, ahead of Daniel, ahead of Stevens. And sometimes you do need to be careful and look for where the opportunity is as well. He could see that Liam Stevens and Daniel were too focused on each other, running each other both out of road. And it means that you've got to try and make those opportunistic moves from time to time. Harvey Cohen given a penalty. The driver who is just dived it in, Cameron Starcher, given a 3-second time penalty. That's for multiple warnings. So Harvey Cohen and Tycho Hardy, they've dived it in. That's why they were given the penalty. So 10 seconds. That is unfortunate for it's unfortunate for Harvey Cohen, the driver now in 18th position, and we're battling once again down to turn 1. Benzoni on the brakes just ahead of Leo Lund, and Benzoni meanwhile also trying to put the pressure on Daniel. Camel Staltruck gaining another position. He is ghosted. That could leave him vulnerable to Rishan Jacobs, trying to make a comeback after the contact that he had earlier on in this race. He is now going for that outside line. Is he going to be able to take the place? No. DRS for Staltruck, DRS for Jacobs, and also P13 as well. And we'll look further ahead. That is side by side between Parodi and Leo Lund. Side by side we run in this battle, and this time it's going to be the driver on the inside who gives the place. So Leo Lund backing out of it. The driver who was defending very hard in Budapest a couple of rounds ago, and he was a driver who didn't make quite a lot of friends after that race, doing one for the team then. Into the pit lane comes Kai Pearson, meaning that this battle that is for the net race lead will become the battle for the official lead on this circuit as well. So it's going to be a fascinating battle between these drivers. Lukumski in 10th, and he was just in a battle as well with Riley McKay. So into the pit lane comes McKay now on those mediums, and also we look on the circuit to see who's going to be making the moves. Julian Cleverenbach pulling out of the slipstream to take the race lead. It is going to be the battle for third. That is going to get very tasty by the time that we stand on the power. Liam Stevens in there right now. Riccardo Benzoni nearly losing the 1 second again. He's going to get a helping hand due to this battle that will continue down to the fourth turn on this circuit. And going the long way around is Daniel going to be able to keep his foot in. Still keeping his foot in is Riley McKay. Is also in a battle with Tope. And with the inside line now for Daniel. But Liam Stevens still doesn't want to give it up. He has no choice in the end. And he's in P4 now. And Tope versus Riley McKay. Now who's going to give an inch between these two drivers? This time it's going to be Tope. Riley McKay is allowed through to P10. So he is going to be hoping that he's also able to attack the next few cars that remain ahead. Benzoni looking for it on Stevens. Doesn't want to make the move at this part of the circuit. Don't want to disrupt the DRS train either. It can get very tasty between the drivers if they do start brawling for a certain position, and they could find themselves losing that 1 second. We've already seen Benzoni nearly lose the 1 second. You don't want that. You want to be in this battle for the lead. The opportunities are going to be endless, especially when we go on to the final lap. Right now, though, on this circuit, Joris moving into the lead. That is going to be wide. Wide for Daniel, who has lost a couple of places. Through goes Liam Stevens, Benzoni, and Parodi. They're all able to get by, and Stevens and Benzoni got a good angle of that battle. They were battling amongst themselves first of all, but they got a good view of Daniel running wide. And now we are also seeing Parodi trying to get by on Benzoni, and Daniel rejoined in P6 after that moment. Parodi to P4 ahead of Benzoni, and Riley McKay still dueling with Tope. Once again, it's a story of brinkmanship. Who's going to back out of it? It is Riley McKay this time around Jacobs on the back of this, and they've got a 9/10 gap ahead to Lukumski, which is the train for the lead, so they need to remain in that. They cannot afford to battle corner after corner in this scrap. Jacobs is definitely gaining though. He's definitely gaining on Riley McKay. Not able to force the error yet. We saw Daniel make that error down to the first turn on the circuit, as Halliday is side by side with Angelo, and it's Halliday moves up to P13. Angelo sliding all over the place as he tried to apply the power. Coming out of the final corner on this circuit, and now we run towards the first corner. 7/10 between second and third. Nothing between our top two. That's another change for the lead, as Julian Klavenbach now takes it, and we are scrapping behind as well. That is going to be Tope versus Riley McKay versus Lukumski. They are ghosted momentarily inside each other. We'll resume the scrap, hopefully, when they're not ghosted inside each other. But it's McKay who is going to be ahead. What about Jacobs trying to go to the outside, getting a bit of a pinch by Lukumski. Jacobs trying to turn the outside line, back to the inside, to 11th position. He's going to be able to get there, and Lukumski's going to be run out of road. Halliday's going to put his nose in there. He is still second in the championship. He's got many cars ahead. He's currently in 13th. His championship rival Julian Klavenbach is in first. So it'll be another race. It'll be another story of him losing points. But Crozen, he's still in that scrap. He's still in the battle for that win. It can all change around. It can all change around when it comes to the final few laps in this one, when the stakes are higher for all of these drivers, and we have seen contact when it comes to those final laps. Halliday past Angelo, so Halliday moving up to P13, Angelo down to the to P14 right now, as Hardy is going to try propel him up to P14 side by side with Angelo as we continue the scrap for the lead. It's Crozen now ahead of Klaffenbach, who is going to be latest on the brakes, and Harvey Cohen now on those medium compound tyres. So we're seeing the attack from the drivers on the mediums. Hardy, Cohen, and it's Cohen who gets by on Halliday. Halliday nearly into the wall. Losing out to Angelo, and also losing out to Kai Pearson while we battle for P3 as well. And it's going to be Pearson later on the brakes, and it's Stevens up to P3. Pearson is just ahead of Angelo, and it's the three drivers on the mediums. Pearson, Hardy, Cohen, now putting the pressure on the drivers ahead. This is fascinating. This is going to be fascinating stuff. So it's going to be fascinating to see where are they going to be able to get themselves up to. Down the straight we go into the braking zone as we come to the end of the lap. That's a late lunge from Kai Pearson to the inside of Tycho Hardy. Bit of contact made. They bang wheels. Getting on the power, taking the place is Hardy. Is Pearson, I should say. Hardy losing out. And he'll be the one who will now be putting the pressure on Angelo as well. So Angelo in 16 on those hards, degrading hard compound tyres. That's another move for Harvey Cohen, exactly what we would expect at this stage of the contest. Battles everywhere we look, down to the first turn. As Klaffenbach takes the lead, we are still debating third position, and it's close to contact between Liam Stevens, who chops across, Riccardo Benzoni, who his exit is going to be compromised, and is going to allow Parodi to draw alongside. They are banging wheels as we run towards turn 4, and also trying to get to the inside is Daniel, who made a mistake. Went right at turn number 1, is trying to make up for it now with a double pass, but he's going to be all 4 wheels off the road. He'll need to back out of that one as we still go side by side. There is nothing between these two drivers. Getting on the power, Benzoni still wheel to wheel with Parodi, and it's Benzoni who is in P4, 7/10. They've now got ahead to Liam Stevens, so they cannot afford to scrap like crazy. If they do, then they will all lose together on a chance of fighting for that victory. So we make our way to the end of this lap now. Heading on to lap number 29 it will be for Julian Klaffenbach, the man in the championship lead in first. He's also first on the road, trying to remain there, but it's Mexico City. He isn't going to be remaining there all the way through. We could even see another change for the lead. As Crozen pulls alongside, makes the move. So Crozen up into the race lead, looking further back though. Who's going to be dishing out the overtakes down to the first turn. So Hardy ahead of Lukumski. So keep an eye on Harvey Cohen. He's got a penalty. He has got a penalty, but he's got the advantage of mediums along with Pearson, along with Tycho Hardy. So a fantastic scrap going on in the lower positions as well as the top. So we're seeing quite a bit of action. Daniel having a little look, but electing not to risk it. No point risking it at this stage. He will want to though, when we do go on to lap number 30, 31, 32, and into the final stages. He will want to gain a couple of places to give himself the best chance. Even if you are in third, with the slipstream that we get heading down to the first corner on the final lap, that will definitely be critical for whoever's going to be behind. If you are able to break outside the 1 second, which from the evidence so far, unless drivers battle behind, doesn't look likely, then you do not want to be in first place. But an update for all of you, the drivers on those mediums are Harvey Cohen, are Kai Pearson, are Tycho Hardy, Andre Molnar, who is 2 seconds behind, so he'll be currently pushing on to the back of this scrap, looking further back. Talking about scraps, we're about to get some more, heading towards turn number 1, and that is going to be Tope. Trying to go around the outside. He is wheel to wheel as Harvey Cohen is battling with Riley McKay, but there's nothing you can do when Harvey Cohen has got the advantage of the medium compound of tyres. He's not got anything in the way of ERS right now. He's completely used his battery, but the grip is making up for. He's throwing a lunge to the inside of Tope, and he'll surely be able to get past Tope when it turns into a traction race. He's getting to the inside line. He is taking the place. Harvey Cohen up to P6 he goes. Lukumski is lost out and he's been forced wide. So that surely was a 3 wide moment where he came off worse. Halliday moves up to P16. It's been disappointing for him. He wanted to be contending for those higher positions, wanted to be contending with both of his other rivals. Klaffenbach in first in the standings, Joris in third, but the man in second currently finds himself in 16th in this race. Jan Halliday, it was fantastic earlier on. The last 2 rounds has been fantastic for him, but he will be, unfortunately, losing out a little bit here in Mexico, hoping to bounce back in the remainder of this season. But hopefully he'll still be able to keep up his momentum from earlier. As we know, if your confidence is broken, it can go very wrong, like it has for Tycho Hardy, who is currently on his way for another race where he doesn't score points. That will be 5 in a row for him. Crozen into the lead, Liam Stevens into second, Julian Klaffenbach down to third. So more changes coming in then right now. Down the straight we go once again, and Julian Klaffenbach, is he going to try pull the move on Stevens? He's going to sit back at this stage. Now the 1 second has been lost in P8, but that won't matter for long because Cohen's getting to the inside, and with the mediums he will get himself straight onto the back of the drivers that are debating the race lead, the train for the lead. 7 drivers currently in it, and that will once again be extended to a 17 car train for the lead. As Daniel given a 3-second time penalty, the driver in P6, who's already had a wide moment, and he could have found himself battling and possibly in P1 at this stage had that wide moment not happened for him. But he has definitely been fighting back in this one. Kai Pearson is getting his way past Tope, or is he? They will remain side by side. They don't want to lose the 1 second, but Kai Pearson's got the mediums, and surely when we go onto the main straight, he'll emerge in front, and he is. So he's able to get through. Battling right now for second place. Tope is going to try come back against Kai Pearson. That will be further back, but we'll focus on the battle for second place. Klaffenbach getting himself closer to the lead, while he goes wheel to wheel with Stevens, who is turning the outside to the inside, holding second place with that line. Benzoni also trying to get involved. Keep your eye on Kian Godendorf, has got quite a bit of ERS, and he's right now on the back of Daniel, who doesn't have as much, and it means that we're going to get a lunge thrown down the inside from Kian Godendorf. It goes down the inside of Daniel and also Daniele Parodi, and he's going to be all 4 wheels off the road this time around, as Hardy is currently very close to Kai Pearson. They're both making their way through on Tope, but it is going to be Klaffenbach who was really on the defensive. Klaffenbach really on the defensive, and you can see that he's 7/10 to Liam Stevens, Benzoni and Klaffenbach both battling at that middle part of the lap, coming to an end in the first sector. So they both went wheel to it. They were both battling like crazy. Parodi though looking for the move. Harvey Cohen also going forward as well, and Harvey Cohen really wants to get on with it. He does have a penalty, but he wants to finish as high as possible on the road at least. As we roar on to lap number 33 of this contest now. Harvey Cohen drawing alongside, and we are going to get another move. He's not only going to be past one, he's going to be past Godendorf, who tried to put the defense, but there is nothing you can do, or is there? He is very late on the brakes, but that will be too late on the brakes. Was nearly into the back of Daniel, and he's still fighting for it. He's still trying to take the place. Cohen's line's a bit compromised, but I think he's finally going to have 6th position. Or is he? Godendorf still has the ERS, and he still is very close. Well, this battle continues to rage on. You would expected Cohen to get it. Godendorf not giving up. Parodi with a 3-second time penalty with multiple warnings. Pearson, Parodi, wheel to wheel, and it's Pearson in 8th. Looking further back as Jacobs runs wide up against Lukumski. So those two still battling over 16th and 17th. Disappointment though for Jacobs. Tried to recover his race. Got to P12 at one point as well. So that contact really costing him. And sometimes your momentum can be broken, as we have seen, not only over a whole season, but in a specific race as well. And we definitely are seeing exactly that. We're getting a very close battle for the lead. 2/10. And you can see Liam Stevens and Joris Crozen, both with a lot of ERS. Same can be said for Julian Klaffenbach. So this will be a very exciting end to the race, and Klaffenbach is gaining on the pair. Liam Stevens did not want to make the move. Klaffenbach does though. We are 3 wide for the lead as we go down towards start number 1, and also trying to get involved is Benzoni. Liam Stevens has got the lead. Benzoni in second, then it's Crozen, then it's Julian Klaffenbach, with Daniel trying to get involved as well. Klaffenbach's taking P3 away. The 2 title rivals side by side. The drivers currently all dueling down to turn number 4. That will be late on the brakes from Julian Klavenbach, putting a nose in there. That is risky stuff from our championship leader. Needs to score points, wants to extend his gap in the championship, and it's Stevens saying more of this. He's got an 8/10 advantage. Liam Stevens trying to go out of town right now while this battle commences for second, third, fourth, and downwards. And they need to be careful. That's not what they can afford to do. If they battle, they lose together, really. And they can only battle over second place at the end. Well, they went absolutely wild. They went absolutely wild in the battle for second. And it meant that they nearly lost the 1 second, but they've survived just about to this stage. They'll get to close it back in down the straight. Side by side we go, and that is Parodi just ahead of Leo Lund. As Angelo picks up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Won't matter, as they are retiring, so not the first race in PCF2 that they would have wanted after their promotion. Leo Lund, Tycho Hardy, Daniele Parodi. Tycho Hardy trying to make a double overtake. Wasn't able to do it quite into the braking zone, as Parodi fights back, all out of shape for Leo Lund, and that will surely allow top 8 through. Riley McKay also is going to try stand on the power, and when he stands on the power up alongside Leo Lund, who's once again going to try, who's once again going to find himself going downwards. Halliday's in there as well. Halliday trying to go all the way around the outside. Great speed for Halliday, and he uses it to take P12 for the moment. Side by side, Lukumski and Riley McKay. It's Lukumski who's got it. Yellow flags in the first sector. That's just Angelo's car coming back onto the circuit, so we'll ignore that one. Top 8 with a 3-second time penalty. But it's going to be a battle between these drivers that comes down to the last lap. Here we go. It is going to come down to the last lap. Liam Stevens, the driver who has been so consistent so far, he has been in the top 6 in every single race other than the opening round at Silverstone where he retired. Is today finally the day for him to take victory? Liam Stevens leads us out of the final corner. Benzoni's going to be tucking in the slipstream. He'll be getting closer with every inch that we make our way towards turn 1. Coming closer. It'll be car length and he'll find a way through. Riccardo Benzoni takes the lead on the race. Julian Klavenbach is going to move up through to second place. Liam Stevens from first down to third position, and he could find himself under more pressure because remember, he won't get the DRS. Cohen trying to go the long way around. He does have a penalty, but he's trying to take fourth position on the road at least. Is he going to be able to get there? Cohen with a 10-second penalty, so he will lose out massively, and he's still started outside. Daniel making it 3 wide. Daniel trying to risk it. He's another driver with a penalty. 3 seconds for him as we battle our way through in this one as they make their way through the middle part of the lap for the final time. Is there anything Julian Klavenbach can do? Our championship leader is gonna try and go brave. Is gonna try and go bold at the end. Can he take race victory away using all of the ERS that he's got? Benzoni's not got much. Julian Klavenbach pulling alongside. Julian Klavenbach dives to the inside. He takes the lead. Benzoni's gone off the road. They are side by side at the end of the lap. Who is going to be winning this? Liam Stevens is still in there. They're side by side. Klavenbach's got the inside line. Wheel to wheel. We're going to go. Could it be a drag race to the line? Camel Starter picks up a penalty. Who emerges in front? Will it be Klavenbach? It will be our championship leader, who is going to be beaten by Riccardo Benzoni by 3 thousandths of a second. It's Benzoni who takes victory. Klavenbach in second, Liam Stevens in third, and it was always going to come down to the final lap, but who knew it would come down all the way to the line? It's Benzoni who has done it. Fantastic effort. Fantastic effort from our top 3. Brawling all the way to the checkered flag. What a race. Well, it was a lot of amazing action all the way through, but that's the moment that we were waiting for. Lots of battling behind, but when it got serious, it absolutely got serious at the front. Lovely, wild scenes. Benzoni does it then by 3 thousandths of a second. What a finish between those two. Liam Stevens in there as well, finishing in third. Crozen in fourth. Kai Pearson from 20th all the way up to 5th. Fantastic stuff, making the strategy work on the mediums. Hardy will finally return to the points after not scoring in the last 4 races. Then it's Halliday, then it's Daniel, and then Daniele Parodi in 9th. Rishan Jacobs in 10th. Lukumski, Tope, Riley McKay, Leo Lund, Andrea Molnar, Harvey, Cohen, Keane Godendorp, Camel Starcher, and then Angelo and Ben Marples. Disappointing to see 2 drivers who've been promoted from F3 down there. Hopefully they'll be able to fight back in the remaining races of this season as well. Wow. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. That was a fantastic race. And we had to wait a little bit. We had to wait a little bit due to the delay that we had in qualifying, with the game breaking a little bit. But after that, we got rewarded with a fantastic qualifying, coming down all the way to the end. Improvement after improvement. Then, in the race, also treated with a thriller. Now, we'll wait and see whether any drivers want to join us for an interview. And if any drivers do want to join us, it'll be interesting to speak to them about how that race went for them. Other than that, if we aren't going to get anyone, we will wrap it up there. But yeah, interesting few races coming up in the next few rounds. But that is absolutely a phenomenal finish to the race. Austria was wild. We kept mentioning Austria for the last few races. Jeddah was absolutely brilliant as well. And then now we've got another race to talk about with a fantastic finish. We've been treated to so many of these throughout this season so far, and it is absolutely lovely to see as well. But we don't seem to be getting anyone in the waiting room for the moment. We'll quickly talk you through the next few races that are coming up on the calendar as well. So, of course, we have done our opening 8 races, just finished Mexico today. And we'll be heading off to Belgium next time out, another circuit where we could be heading. You've, of course, got the run to the bus stop chicane, a fantastic battle we always see at Spa on that last lap. You've got the Camel Straight, but that is not where the battle ends. If a driver's got ERS, it can come down to the bus stop chicane. So an interesting race coming up at Spa, Monza, Qatar, and Brazil. But if Jan Halliday or Joris Krozen or anyone else, for that matter, does want to take the title right at the end, they definitely do need to start their charge from Spa, because rounds are running out. 4 races will remain, with Brazil ending off the season. No one joining in the waiting room, so we're going to wrap it up there as well. Unfortunately, Sappy wasn't able to join us for the race. Thank you, though, for him for controlling the cameras, even if the situation wasn't the best. It's been brilliant bringing you PSGL PCF2 once again here this season from Mexico. We'll be back in a week's time at Belgium when PSGL PCF2 returns.